Welcome back to another class with Ming. Today we talk about histogram and same questions. How do we represent and compare data? Here are two sets of data that measure the quiz score of two particular tasks or quizzes. The quiz score here is the amount of time measured in minutes taken to complete a particular task or quiz. The question is, how can we visualize the data better? Since our score is in terms of time and time is continuous measure, then our data is continuous. Because we are dealing with continuous data, the best way to visualize this data then is to use a histogram. Before we get started, so let's look to what this means. 0, 2, that means this is the same as include 0 but does not include 2. Right, so include 0 but not include 2. Alright, so here's the histogram. We have the frequency up here, and then we have the quiz score down here. And we just look at this and draw it up. So this is to the height of 2 unit, to the height of 2 unit, to the height of 10 unit, to the height of 5 unit, to the height of 4 unit. As simple as that. Right now, I'd like you to pause. I'd like you to try out plotting the histogram for quiz number 2. When you're ready, press play again. Okay, let's check your answers. Do you get the answers as shown here? Alright, excellent. At this stage, you may be tempted to compare these two histograms, but be very careful. These two histograms actually have different totals. So you have to be very careful when you compare this. But it is clear in this particular case that the scores in quiz number 2 are more spread out compared to for the score in quiz number 1. In order to really compare these two quizzes together, as before, we really need to use the concept of relative frequency. So instead of plotting the frequencies on the vertical, if you plot relative frequency, then we have something called the relative frequency histogram. And here is my relative frequency histogram. So here it's about 0.0870, and here is 0.435, 0.218, and 0.174. You might want to try out plotting the relative frequency histogram for quiz number 2. When you're ready, please play again. Here's the answer, and I have superimposed the relative frequency for quiz number 2 on top of that for relative frequency histogram number 1. And now you can do a direct comparison between the two. And it is very obvious that the quiz number 2, the scores are more spread out compared to the one in quiz number 1. And also in terms of people who getting the score between 6 and 8, between the score of people who getting 6 and 8, then there are the relative frequency for the quiz number 2 is slightly higher than quiz number 1, although the frequency for both is actually 2. That's it, folks. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have learned something more about histogram today.